Welcome to Really Cool Stuff for the Home podcast, sponsored by HomeWorks. And now with today's show on all the ways to improve your home is your host, Denise Sanchez.
Hi, this is Denise from HomeWorks, Really Cool Stuff for the Home. And this is an exciting time for me today because we have not only one guest, but two in the studio, not just Zoom. Now, what we have is Charle Young, one of my favorite reps of all time, Charle Young from Maple Distributing. And he has brought with him Bailey Brown from Faber. And this is one of my favorite hoods that we sell in our store, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. When we look at the different types of hoods on the market, one of the things about the hoods that are so popular is the ceiling hoods that we're going to be talking about. Don't let me forget to mention about this. But first of all, Bailey, tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with Faber right now.
Absolutely. So I have been in the appliance industry for about 5 months now.
Oh my goodness, so brand new to the industry.
Yes. Yeah. So came on board with Faber early May of 2023. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee, so that is where Faber's North American home office is. So we have our offices there, we have our warehouse, really the hub of activity for everything on this continent. And things have been going great so far, just learning a lot, traveling, meeting dealers such as yourself, and seeing what we can do to really make sure the product's a great match for you guys.
And then one of the things about this company is based out of Italy.
Yes.
That's kind of cool too,
Yes.
And a lot of the European style has been brought over to the U.S., which I love because now we've got that minimalist look, that's so popular, and you bring that to the table, as well as some other neat features. But the company is also owned by
Frankie.
Okay, which is pretty cool because that is a very, very elite luxury plumbing. And no, they do appliances too, don't they? They have some appliances.
So a little bit of a background on the company. So I work for the Faber brand, but about 20 years ago, the Faber brand was purchased by Frankie. Some people call it Franke, which is based out of Switzerland. So Frankie was founded in 1911. It was a family-owned company then. It's still a family-owned company now, which is really
interesting.
Impressive. I think they're on like fourth generation of ownership. But it started out as primarily European. After a few decades of ownership, they started to branch out around the world, and now we're on every continent except for Antarctica. So a really large global presence.
Who cares?
And we do a lot of different things, like you said. So in the U.S., people probably recognize the Frankie brand from plumbing being sinks, faucets.
Which is of the luxury.
Yes. More of the luxury plumbing side. However, we also have divisions that work in high-end coffee machines. So your 7-Eleven, the coffee machines in there are all Frankie products.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Don't they have one for the home, too?
So, yes, I believe that we have residential coffee machines, but a lot
Europe.
That's more of the European side.
I don't know why. We just don't get a lot of the cool stuff from Europe to here.
Well, as we're picking up speed, more and more is becoming popular in the U.S.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting. That's very interesting. Now, I know this is maybe a question for you. They have they're the first ISO 9001 quality certification in the field of kitchen hoods in the world. What is that?
Okay, so one of the things that Faber really prides themselves on is adhering to the highest safety standards, the highest production standards. For the ISO certification specifically, what that means is that they do in-house quality testing on everything that we produce. And that in-house testing is ISO certified, so essentially that entity is ensuring that, yes, everything they're doing in-house is up to our standards. I don't know if that made sense.
Yes, it does. And it's the first in the world, so that's pretty.
Yes. So
a lot of street cred there.
Yes. And that's what, really just trying to make sure that everything is the highest production quality possible.
And did they invent the perimeter type of
aspiration?
Yes. Did they invent that? Okay.
Yes.
That I find not only is it make it more aesthetically pleasing because you don't see those ugly filters, but kind of explain how, and Charlie, you may help us out too on this, how that works. What's the benefit of this?
Well, again, like you mentioned, Denise, there's no filters that you have to see. There's a sheet of stainless steel or white, depending on what color the product is in. But the parametric aspiration, there's a panel on the bottom of the hood, and then there's a small channel, a small opening that the air enters all the way around. So it's pulling air from the sides, it's pulling air from the front, pulling air from the back. So it actually makes the hood believes it's a bigger hood when you have parametric aspiration because it's able to pull better from the sides and better from the front. So it's not as necessary to have the hood project out forward like you normally would for capture because the way the air is flowing on the hood, it automatically creates capture so the hood can perform. Because a lot of these parametric, they're lower profile hoods. But the parametric aspiration makes the hood feel like it's a bigger hood.
And it also makes for more higher efficiency as well, correct? I understand that's
where I'm going with because it's pulling air in right at the very front. Then as the cooking byproducts rise off the burners, they're caught in the front and pulled in before they can release into the kitchen. So the whole thing with kitchen ventilation is to capture cooking contaminants before they mix with the rest of the air in the house. You know, you got heat, grease, odor, steam. Those are all things that need to be removed.
We don't want them on our walls or our curtains.
I think they call it hogs. Heat, odor, grease, and steam. Hogs.
Oh, that's pretty
cool. Hogs is what we want to get. So that's the parametric goes really good on that. Plus, it's pleasing to the eye when you look.
Yes, it is. You don't see all these ugly, dirty filters. It's kind of cool. Right. Now, the filters sit up inside that area.
Right. The lower panel's on hinges, so it just drops down. And then you have filters that you can remove, and they're going to catch the grease that's in the air.
Right.
The grease rides up from the cooktop on the edge of steam droplets. And then that grease sticks to the filters. And then when they get dirty, you just take the filters out, pop them into your dishwasher.
How simple is that?
And they just run through a pots and pans cycle, and then the grease just melts away. And then they dry, reinstall them back into your hood.
And then another thing, too, is that they're very quiet hoods. So there's something that you've done to the motor that allows this to happen, to be so quiet at a high CFM. What's this, cubic feet per minute? I know something. Cubic feet per minute, airflow. That's what. That's how we determine, that there'll be like a typical 600 CFM, 800 CFM, 1200 CFM for those big, gigantic ranges, that pro ranges that you'll want. But typically 600 CFM is good for most applications. So what do they do to make this?
So Faber's actually, in the past few years, introduced what they call the Sound Pro blower. So with that, they redesigned the chamber of the blower to get rid of friction points within it, and getting rid of those sped up how quickly the air was able to travel through it. And by default, that made it a little bit quieter, especially as you start going at higher speeds. So really, they just went in, completely redesigned the actual motor itself, got rid of those pain points, and that's what made it quieter.
I'm very impressed, Bailey. 6 months and you know all this? You're pretty darn smart.
I've had a lot of good teachers.
And then also, too, where did you graduate from?
So I went to the other UT, the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Yes.
And then you got an MBA as well, too, right?
Yes, from Middle Tennessee State University.
Very impressive lady. That's what we'll say.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now, as far as styles, one of the ones I really like to talk about is one that I've been selling pretty well, and it is called the Stratus Isola, the island hood.
Yes.
What's cool about it is that it's up in the ceiling. Now, here in San Antonio, our ceilings are sometimes very, very high. So we have them bring it down, like a little fur down, at about 8 foot or 9 foot, and then we do this. Talk about this, and especially about the one with the white glass. I love that one. It's stunning.
Yes. So that one's been super popular in Texas and also around the country. like she said, it is a white glass hood. It has that parametric aspiration that we were talking about. So
and lighting, LED lighting
yes,
too. Yeah.
it has lighting around it. But what's really nice with the white one is when it's on, it's a bright light in your kitchen, so you can see what you're doing. It's really appealing to the eye because it doesn't have the filters. But when you turn it off, it blends in with your ceiling because most people's ceilings are white. So it's sort of the best of both worlds. Of it has really good functionality, but it's also aesthetically pleasing versus you have really good performance, but it's an eyesore.
Right. And then it's done by power, by remote. You control it by remote, so you don't have to, get a ladder.
So it's the perfect hood if you have a view that would normally be blocked. Maybe it's a view of the coast or the view of the lake that you don't want blocked. This could have 8 feet from the cooking surface to the bottom of the hood. So, a panoramic window's totally open so you can see outside.
Exactly. So, and a lot of our installations, we've had them just because there'll be like 16-foot high ceilings in the kitchens. It's crazy down here. So they'll do a fur down just to encase that, and they'll bring it down to the 8-foot level. Okay. So you have 8 foot of no interruption. It's just clear view. It's stunning. People love it. The feedback has been great. And I've even put them over some of my big bad boy ranges, those commercial type ranges, and it works very well. Okay. If you can't put them at 16 feet.
It's super adaptable because you can rig it out with different kinds of internal blowers. That's a fan that's located inside the hood. You can use a inline blower that's located somewhere inside the ductwork down range from the hood, or you can use a remote blower, which is on the outside of the house. So you can get the motor completely out of the home, so it helps it to even be quieter.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for this series, and I so appreciate you coming into the studio and talking with us. And at Homeworks, really cool stuff for the home is homeworkssa.com, or go to Faber Online, that's Faber online.com, to check out some of their stunning ventilation offerings. Denise at Homeworks, really cool stuff for the home, where we'll make your homework better for you.